How's everybody doing on Thursday? I hope that you guys are doing very well. Just woke up. Look, I've always thought that the trust the experts catchphrase or slogan, whatever you want to call it, was a cop-out when it comes to addressing somebody's argument. Specifically on this issue, because definitely now as more information comes out, people are better understanding how this works. You're seeing experts on different sides of this. So always more so, definitely in this case, it seems that trust the experts, and when people say that or they try to knock down your argument saying you're not an expert or I'll listen to the experts, what they're basically saying is they'll listen to the expert that validates their own opinion. But also, I think another thing that's important to add to that is that just because you are an expert does not mean that you are an expert everywhere. When we consider what's going on right now, there are 16 million people in the last 3 weeks that have been put out of work. That's not a sustainable model. 16 million people that we know of in the United States of America. That's 10% roughly of your workforce. Again, that's of we know of. We don't know the people that were unable to file for unemployment because of the servers or what have you. That's what we know of. Just 3 weeks. And, there's those that think that's absolutely worth it. Save one life. I don't think that's personally a good trade-off. Nonetheless, just because you are an expert in one area does not mean that you're an expert in others, even though the whole expert thing isn't an argument anyway. You can not know what you're talking about. This situation right now is an economic issue in addition to a medical issue. It's not one or the other necessarily. And I would argue when you consider economics as a human action, that actually implies taking into consideration the whole medical thing. It's not separate from it, actually. But there's an economic issue, and just because you are a medical expert does not mean that you are an expert in economics or you understand economics. You even have any idea, actually. I'm about to show you on MSNBC, Dr. Zeke Emanuel, and what he said. And I'll paraphrase and I'll discuss it, but I want you guys to see it first and foremost before we even go there, because I don't want to straw man them. So let's go take a look at this.
And then there are the tens of millions of Americans who have lost jobs and businesses, or who fear that they're just about to. Your anxiety about the virus.
That's a real thing, by the way. It's getting closer to home, and I've even seen this in my own experience, how people's attitude starts changing. Even those that were essential workers are getting laid off and fired, furloughed, because of, again, you don't have people in your economy that actually can spend money. I don't want to say you don't have any, they're just spending it a lot less because there's less of it to go around. So it's getting closer and closer to home. People that thought they were safe from the layoffs a week ago aren't safe anymore, and they're finding themselves on the other side of this. And then the future is getting more and more questionable. So it was all fun and games when it was like, well, the people that are getting laid off aren't me, so it's fine. But then it becomes you, and then you realize, wait a minute, this $1,200 that they may give me doesn't even cover what I needed to cover. Oh, wait a minute. No, does if the added unemployment cover what I needed to cover because they have a family, they have other things I need to spend. Oh, what do you mean? I'm not even eligible for the $1,200. Yeah, this is going to become more and more of a reality, guys.
Is coupled with worry over having a paycheck, covering the mortgage, keeping the lights on, and buying food. Realistically, COVID-19 will be here for the next 18 months or more. We will not be able to return to normalcy until we find a vaccine or effective medications. I know that's dreadful news to hear. How are people supposed to find work if this goes on in some form for a year and a half? Is all that economic pain worth trying to stop COVID-19? The truth is, we have no choice.
That is,
if we prematurely end
that's bogus, and he's about to go on about, okay, if we end it, we're gonna cost more lives if we end these lockdowns and stuff like that. So we have to basically stick this out, is what he's saying. This friggin' doctor, or what have you, or whatever you want to call him, basically just told you that he is perfectly fine. Not necessarily. No, let me take that back. That's he didn't say that he was perfectly fine. He's saying that we have no choice. So he is willing to go the route as a doctor of plunging the entire country into poverty, or the vast majority of it. Maybe not him. He's safe, but keeping that up for 16 months, which I was talking about with Dr. Ioannidis. He was talking about some of the models actually say that this must last that long if we're going to beat this. It's not sustainable for 16 months. But this is where we're at. And this is why I talk about the trade-off is not worth it. I don't think it's worth plunging my entire family into poverty for this. Just because you're scared, and no, I don't believe that at all. I've said in the numerous videos, I don't think that the application in terms of what they've applied as a solution makes sense for every single geographical area and every single demographic. I think it's completely illogical, considering that not only do we know the people that are less likely to have a severe reaction to this. We know there's a particular demographic such as old and immunocompromised and such, and people with those sorts of underlying conditions. They're most likely to not only die or have a severe reaction, but this whole reason that we're doing that is supposedly not overwhelming his industry, of course, the medical industry, if he is a medical doctor for sure. That's the whole reason why we're doing this. We don't want to overwhelm those guys, but the hospitalization rates, like, for example, in New York City, it's not guys that are under the age of 44 years of age and under for the most part. They only make up so basically what I'm saying is 96% of the hospitalizations in New York City are from people that are ages 45 and up. But also geographical area. You can watch some of my last videos, and I've discussed how it's not impacting every area the same way. Places like New York City, population density. I don't know why y'all like to live like that anyway, but that's what it is. Population density, different culture. They're impacted a lot more than what we are, even though we have a more populated state in Texas. New York State, though, again, the vast majority of those cases are in, I believe, 75% of the deaths in the entire state are coming from New York City, but even which is the most populated city in the country. However, we have, like, for example, in Texas, have more populated state, but we're not impacted nearly as much. I don't think as of today we're like right under 200 deaths. That's it. Hey, but we're applying a sort of solution that impacts we're shutting down entire industries and so forth, no matter what. And I just don't think that's I think that more so is an ill-applied solution. And there are experts that agree with this situation. But there's also experts on the other side that think, well, this is what we got to do. And they see no other alternative to just plunging the entire country, or the vast majority of the country, into poverty for the sake of combating this. It's not an economically sound thing to do, but that's what he's advocating, or that's what he suggests that we have no choice to do. And I disagree with that. And there are other people that disagree with that are also experts. So I know the reason I have to keep reiterating that, because that's all folks say in response is catchphrases, slogans, and appealing to authority to people that agree with them. And this is a subject that is having a debate amongst his own medical community every single day. They do not all agree with each other. They don't. So to act like they do and present that as an argument, like, well, the experts say this, has always been nonsensical, but specifically with this issue, because it is very, very polarizing. But I don't care how you can make it seem like like it's selfish or I'm heartless or something like that, which is bogus. Funny enough, people in my life seem to think that this is also silly that are older, such as my 80-year-old grandmother. Hey, nonetheless, this is nonsense. I'm not willing, and I don't think that's a good trade-off to jack up the economy for 16 months for the sake of trying to combat this. And again, he says we got to wait till we don't even know if that's what's going to happen. We don't know what that. We don't have vaccines for common cold, for example. And that's not to say that the one won't come, but who's to say that it will? So we're basically just holding off for an indefinite amount of time. That's insane.